right, guys. For those of you who don't know me, I am Allison Larson. I am with Guild Mortgage. I'm our area manager here. We host things like this. I'd love to say we do it like on purpose once a month or something, but normally it's like just whatever topic speaks to me and we go with it, or whatever I think is relevant at the time. Uh, I do things like this because I want to add to your guys' business. I want to see you guys succeed. It is no surprise that most of my business is from my realtor referral partners. And if my realtor referral partners can grow and I can help them, we in turn do more business. That's why we're always trying to be an additional resource to you guys as much as we physically can be. Give me one second. I lost my tab. There we go. All right. Hopping right into it today. I, in full disclosure, saw someone else at our corporate office present on this topic, which is why it triggered me to say I want to talk about this as well, because I think it's so relevant in our marketplace. You guys pop in the chat. If anyone on here is Gen Z, pop it in the chat. If anyone in here is a millennial, please pop it in the chat. I'm curious to see, or if not, or just say what you are, whatever that label is. I'm curious to see as people put in the chat what we've got here. But they started the presentation and they started talking through these words, slay. Sarah, I didn't even know elder millennial was a thing until I literally listened to this presentation. I was like, oh, because it makes sense. There's totally different types of millennials. I'm a millennial too. I'm 34. Slay, bet, slap, sold. And they were like making people guess in the comments what these words mean. And I was kind of embarrassed for them. I'm like, this is cringe. You should not be teaching a seminar on Gen Z and how to connect with them if you think that it's cool to be going through these words. And then as they started going through them, and they're like, what does sold mean? And I literally thought, well, sold means you sold something. Like, what? Who knows? Pop in the chat or unmute yourself if you know in Gen Z lingo what sold means. I had literally no idea. Does anybody know? Any guesses? Gen Z uses sold as a term that means like you were on a big stage or a big sporting event, all eyes are on you, and you ate it, like you just didn't perform. That's what sold means, like you just totally choke. And that was the first thing that really got me thinking of what a great way to explain and compare how millennials to Gen Z to boomers to elder millennials, whatever it might be, use completely different language to communicate, which we all know. We see our kids, my kids say sus and they say bet. So I knew what that one meant. All the time they say things like that. But to me, it would never dawn on me that a common word we use all the time is something that they would use in completely different context. And we're explaining to them something that they're maybe not even fully receiving. This comes to mind too. When I think of my childhood, so they were explaining, these gentlemen that were doing the webinar event were mentioning, gosh, can you believe that there's people, if you're Gen Z, this picture, they just showed the picture of Michael Jordan. They said, if you're Gen Z, you wouldn't look at that photo and have a memory of your childhood. You might not even know who that is. And I was watching it going, who is that? I don't know who it is. And then they said, it's Michael Jordan. I'm like, oh yeah, I know who Michael Jordan is. But it dawned on me, I don't have a memory of him being the greatest basketball player of all time. I know who he is, but I don't have memories of him as a child. And then who remembers when Britney Spears shaved her head? If you're a millennial who grew up idolizing. I mean, I remember my first CD I got was NSYNC and Justin Timberlake dating Britney Spears. And I mean, my childhood was made for tabloids and getting like the Star Pop magazine and ripping out the pictures of these people and sticking them onto my wall. And if you're Gen Z, you probably don't even remember this picture coming to light. And when you take a step back and think of the fact that we are trying to help and guide and educate these individuals into one of the biggest investments of their life, and we maybe aren't even speaking the same language or life experiences, it's important to note that. I think when you look at Gen Z as a whole, I literally I picture Gen Z to be 21 years old or like 17 years old. I don't even picture them as part of the adult community. I just don't. And until recent years, They really weren't. And now what's really interesting is they've become adults, but when we're looking at them, we just assumed that they transformed into the rest of the adult population and all the things we know, but they haven't. Okay, quick trivia question. Pop it in the chat or shout out your answer. What percent of home buyers were Gen Z in Q1 of 2025 across the country? Best guess in the chat. If I didn't give you these numbers, or go ahead, keep going. The answer is 15%. When I initially saw the poll question, they didn't give us a number. We just had to pop in and guess our own number. I guessed 2%. I really didn't think, again, I thought Gen Z was still in high school. I really had no idea that they're amongst us and totally buying houses right now. What percentage of home buyers were millennials in Q1 of 2025? Best guess. Diane, you're flooded with millennials right now. That's probably why you feel that way. Everyone we talk to is young and spring chicken and their mom's doing their laundry for them. Yeah. 41. 29%, which is actually lower than I would have thought. When we talk about who Gen Z is, and I'm not just going to read these PowerPoint slides, I might not even talk through all the things on it. So feel free to read the notes on kind of talking. But when we talk through who Gen Z is, Gen Z is nearly 25% of the US population. And when we talk about that, that's a really large group of people entering the adult population all at one time in one swoop, especially when the generation was raised so differently than how many people were raised. They've had cell phones in their hand and technology to Google things, to interact with any bit of data that they need their entire lives. As soon as they were old enough to grab a phone, who has really little kids at home? My really little son, who's 2 years old, knows to grab my phone and he fake talks on it. He puts my AirPods in his ears and go, bleh. He can't even talk. And he's like, blah, 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 and fake talks on my AirPods. And he knows how to take a selfie of himself on my phone. He hits the camera button, says cheese, and he can say like 15 words. That's insane. They've grown up with it their entire lives. It's not just part of what they use as a resource, it's everything that they use as a resource. And then one thing that's really different about this generation as well is they're made up of 50% minority races and ethnicities, meaning they're the most diverse generation that we've ever had and ever encountered in our country. When everyone has been raised, Diane, when you went to high school and went to college and got into the workforce, people were probably raised with the same value, very similar family values, traditions. There's maybe one or two people that you encounter that were raised differently than you or have a different outlook on life. But with this really young generation, it's a total mixed bag. They all have completely different outlooks and different interpretations of life. One thing I like to point out too, this Gen Z generation is interestingly one of the first generations that's only seen real estate increase in value their entire lives. They've seen a healthy real estate market as long as they can remember. They've seen low interest rates. They've seen real estate help create people wealth. If you're a millennial like me, you saw people lose their homes in high school. Your home was a trap. You were in this house and you couldn't go on vacation because your parents have to pay the utility bill and it's too high, and this stupid house and everything's breaking and your mom doesn't want to live in the house and you've outgrown it and you can't move because you can't afford anything else. We saw homes constrict our families. We saw homes be taken from people. To us, or to the millennial generation, home ownership has completely different connotation, oftentimes negative, because we saw our parents so stressed and struggling through 08 through 09 in that entire phase. I graduated high school in 2009. I remember the philosophy was like, you should go to college as long as you possibly can because you're never going to be able to find a job. And here I am in the mortgage industry. So that tracks, right? So just good to know like the context of what these people come in at. And after reading that stat, I'm going to go backwards. After reading that stat, it was really interesting to me thinking back through some of my clients. I went through my CRM and I started pulling some ages on people to see, okay, do these stories align with the type of client? Molly is one of them recently. Molly's profile, she works as an executive at a Fortune 50 company. She's making 175K annual income. She wants a 950K townhome that is 50% of her gross monthly income. She is upset that we will only let her purchase to 50% of her gross monthly income because every 950K townhome she looks at, she doesn't feel is nice enough. This is our true millennial client. Candidly, most millennials we see come on a pre-approval meeting are about space, a backyard for my dog, HGTV ready, this big space for hosting. It's all about a grand life. It is about what accommodates to them, all of that. In previous years, when we had a client who came to us and they said they only wanted to buy 200K or they only want to buy 250K, we know that doesn't get you a ton in the Twin Cities, right? For my standard millennial client, I would approach the conversation and say, hey, have you looked at a house that is only 250,000? Because I wanted to prepare them for, you're going to end up having to spend more. You're going to spend 400,000. Let's look at what that looks like. Just this week, here are two clients that I met with that both I was shocked truly understand what they're going to get for 225, 275 and are 100% game for it. So Shay, a very sweet young female that I met with this week. She's like 24 years old. She's making $105,000 a year. She wants to purchase a condo at 225 or under. When she came to me, she knew her budget to the penny. She knew HOA due range, buildings she can look in. She knew where taxes were higher. She knew all of this before she came to me. She already has a 5-year plan that she wants to purchase this property. She's going to rent it out on weekends as she like stays at friends or travels or whatever. And she's run a cost analysis is if she short-term rent this on weekends, that her whole mortgage can be paid for and then some, so she can turn around and buy another property in a couple of years. Very different than the millennial generation. Diane can attest. We've got a lot of millennials, like I said right now, and that is very different than what we're seeing our clients do. Celia is making 85K a year. She wants to purchase either a single family home where she can build a wall and rent out part of it and house hack and have that be short-term rental and essentially puts one part of the home into a condo where she's just living as one bedroom living. Or she plans to buy a condo where she has enough space to kind of do the same thing or to have a comfortable roommate. Again, these are very different strategies than what we're seeing our millennial clients come to us with. Things that are really, really important to Gen Z is your values, your transparency, your authenticity, your customizations in the process, and removing barriers to make it feel approachable, more affordable, all of those things to them. It's interesting to me that Gen Z, because of just how they were raised, is so much more reliant and expectant on building wealth through real estate versus real estate being this glitzy glammy thing that they get to host in and play in and have their puppy golden doodle run around in. It's just a totally different mindset, it seems, for a lot of these clients. Okay, like we talked about, Gen Z they're all over the internet. They've had a phone in their hands their entire life. Millennials are all over the internet. They've had a phone in their hands their entire life. They believe the internet and technology and living and breathing over internet is essential to their life. So we know we need to communicate to that in that way. But what's really interesting is most of our businesses have chosen to adapt to this okay, and you guys, I'm not a realtor, obviously, so I can't speak 100% to your side. So if anyone at any point wants to take themselves off mute and contribute to the conversation, please do. But I think of like in my business, we were like, okay, tech forward, tech forward, tech forward. And so you have companies like Rocket Mortgage, Better Mortgage, Quicken, whatever, and they have all of these like AI generated mortgage pre-approvals because they think they want technology and as fast as they can at their fingertips. But what's interesting is they're saying they actually want a personalized experience. They want authenticity. They care what the person cares about and where my values stand, and they want it customized. From a realtor standpoint, I think of, okay, how are some ways that we can be showing up and customizing this experience for them? How can we be showing up on social media? How can we be customizing our communication process, but also looping in technology literally every step of the way? I was even, as I was prepping for this and reading about Gen Z, do you guys remember when you couldn't have like the dark background on your iPhone?
I'm so sorry it's taken me
Like
so
you
long.
couldn't have high contrast as an option. It was
In
just blue
truth,
and white
I've been a
text.
little
It
overwhelmed
dawned on me
and just trying to
that
hold on to things that,
Gen Z doesn't
day to
even
day.
know.
No excuse, but just want to let you know I have been thinking about you all. And
Uh, Gen Z doesn't even know a time where you couldn't even customize all the features on your iPhone. There was no font size changes. There was like probably two ringtones, unless you like bought one of those like ring back things, right? They don't even like the high contrast settings. They don't know a world where all of everything you customize is an option. Think of even their emails. Since they had email, you could even customize where you want your inbox to sit and what folders you want on top. When I got email, I couldn't customize what Gmail looked like just to fit my likings, right? Just completely different from that standpoint. I wanted to share with you guys. Are you guys cool if I kind of pop a little all over the place here? Yeah. Okay. I want to show you guys just for an example of some stuff that we do on our side to kind of help you guys with some of these things so that the home buying process does fit better to their standards. Pop in the chat if you have a client with me recently and we are using Lender Logics together. So this is exactly why we use Lender Logics. I'm going to share my screen again here. Okay, this is a client we just pre-approved recently, and you can see here we have built, this is a custom portal that the clients log into and also the realtor has access to. When we think of customizations and everything feeling personable, if I send them one generic loan summary static worksheet, is that customized? Is it personal? Is it technology at their fingertips? No, it's an annoying PDF. They're like, I don't get it. Why can't I edit this? And then I see what happens is they go out with you on a weekend and then they're like, well, yeah, we like it, but what does it cost? And you're like, what do you mean? What does it cost? The lender showed you what it costs. No, they showed me $499. This house, you said we have to offer 501. It could be $4 difference. I need to see it laid out to me because it would seem ridiculous to them that someone doesn't have the resources to do that. And that's where Lender Logics comes into play. We've built out this portal customized so each client can pop into here and never have to deal with a static loan summary. They can go through and see sales price, their down payment, what it brings them for monthly payment, what it brings them for cash to close, every finite line item, title fee, everything if they want to, but not overwhelming. Hopefully easy on the eyes because they want that too, right? Like, how can we make this as easy as possible? But what's cool is it's completely customized and built to them. So if they pop it to 10% down, now we can see we've added mortgage insurance on there. This is customized, quoted for them based off their debt to income ratio, their credit scores, things like that. So that's one way on our side that we're trying to help accommodate to these Gen Z home buyers. Again, feel free to pop in the chat if you guys have anything like, hey, this is what we're doing and this has been working well on our side too. It's interesting. The other thing that you're hearing a lot about is I'm very sales trained. I've been in sales coaching my entire life. And you always hear about wow service. Like, oh, they need wow service. With the millennial and the Gen Z generation, they expect the bells and whistles. That's their minimum service level agreement, is that they're only going to work with someone who's going to provide them the bells and whistles. They don't even have interest in working with us if we don't have any of these extras. This isn't even enough to wow our clients. It's the bare minimum expectation for, as you saw, almost 50% of the home buying population right now, or according to the beginning of the year. Okay. So we're going to go through some opportunities that you guys, and I'm going to show examples of what I do, and then you guys can kind of think through what you could do in your business to tweak things. So opportunity one, I think, is a lot of people, because they have their phones in their hands, they get referred to someone, and the first thing they do is go Google them, go pull them up and see what the internet has to say about them. One of the first places they might look is our website. Most people, most realtors, tend to have a website that is made by their company, which I think is totally fine. Hopefully, there's some customizations that you can make. And they have a bio that they wrote 33 years ago when they got into real estate. And they have a picture that they also took 33 years ago when they got into real estate, right? We all know it. We all see it. We've had it many times. I see it all the time where I invite someone to an event and then they show up and I have no idea it's even them because they look completely different than they do in their photos. So those are things you want to look at. Like, hey, is my picture on my website, has it been done in the last 2 years? Encourage you to do a yearly or bi-yearly headshot. Are the pictures of me sitting in an office, are they AI generated? Like, this young generation has been fed AI content their entire lives. It gives them the ick. They don't want it. I want to know, is that really your office? Probably not. That'd be impressive if it was. And are those really people in your office sitting by those chairs having a can? Probably not, right? Like, what can we do to change up our website so they can get a glimpse of who we are and what we're like before meeting us or before reaching out to us? You want to mention about things that are local. People of this generation love to support local businesses. They want people who are in their community, understand how they're raised, and to support the community around them. So making, whether it's a local real estate blog or it's featuring just local properties and, hey, here's my favorite neighborhoods. Here's the neighborhood that I live in, whatever that might be. Social media. Pop in the chat. Who feels like they've got social media down? Who doesn't have social media down? Who needs help with it? Tell me how you feel about social media. Who feels like it's overwhelming? Not everybody at once. Sarah, yeah, I see your stuff all the time. Your stuff always looks great. Okay, so social media. I feel like if you got into this business a long time ago, you probably kind of cringe at the fact that now we have to run a business, run a P&L, do marketing, prospect, be an influencer, right? Like all of these things, all of a sudden we have to wear all of these hats, be all these things. The good news is you don't have to be an influencer on social media. It is very simple. All they're looking for is to come to your page and see, do I like this person? Are they professional or what, however you're trying to brand yourself? What is that image? What is that you're trying to get across to people? But they want to know you. They want to understand your value system. People do business with people. So when they go to research you, Sarah, you post about your adorable twins all the time, right? Like people want to, oh, that's really cool. She has twins. They relate to that. Even if they don't have kids and they want to have kids someday, it's super relatable. Oh, I can see they must live in the neighborhood that I'm thinking about purchasing in. I can see they must be in South Minneapolis. I'm going to post about that. Whether your kids are grown and you're sending them off to college and you're posting about that, the general rule of thumb is probably about at least 30% of the content you post on social media should be something personal. So you take a quick picture of your kids and pop it on your story. Hey, we're out for ice cream today, whatever it is, something that people can actually meet you and relate to you. And you don't always have to be creating your own content and coming up with these great ideas. You can very easily take external content and then just make it your own, right? Take something you saw on the news and do a green screen over it. Take anything and plug and play and make it a B-roll of you walking through a living room and then you just put some text over the top of it, right? It doesn't have to be some over the top thing. One thing people don't realize as well is that a lot of these younger generation, they actually don't even use Google as a search engine anymore. They use TikTok, they use YouTube, some use Instagram as a search engine. It kind of depends. So like if I switched hair girls a few years ago. I've switched brow people recently. I literally went onto my Instagram and searched brows. And then I put a map up and I saw who is hashtagging brows and I started looking at people. And then I scoured their Instagram to see if the eyebrows that their clients have look like how I want my eyebrows to look. And now I found Crystal, my new brow girl at Sculpt in downtown St. Paul, right? But that's literally, no one had to refer me to her. That's how I found her. Instagram, right? And that is how our clients want to find people. We want to check on the work. We want to spy on them for a while. We want to engage with them for a while before we get to that point. Um, have any of you guys seen the green screen reels I do on Instagram? So those are probably the world's easiest videos to do because you can do them yourself on your phone. It doesn't even have to have a professional background. Half the time I'm in my car or like playing with my kids and I just got home from the office and I click do one. If you see me do one, chances are that I didn't have time to post something else or think too much about it. So I searched a local article. I got the cliff notes. I used AI to say, highlight this article, make it sound like me. And I read off from CapCut off a teleprompter into my phone what the article was, and then I posted it, right? The biggest thing with social media right now isn't just where we're getting views. We get a lot of views. This is our 30-day average on social. That's awesome. And I love seeing that we're getting a lot of views from outside people. We're getting awareness of our brand. That's my goal. But what's really cool is the interactions that we have. People replying back to stories, people replying back to reels. Even cooler when someone sends your reel to somebody else. All of the content that we're doing now, I am solely making it for realtors to have shareable content. I want you guys to feel empowered on a day where you don't have anything to say, or you don't want to speak incorrectly about interest rates, or you don't want to misquote a guideline. Take my video and share it. That is 100% what we create it for. I'm going to show you guys something else real quick here too. Who struggles with like what to say? Who, if I tell you, oh yeah, just no big deal, make a green screen reel, does that stress anybody out? Or makes us someone feel like, I don't know, how would I have the time for that? Okay,
I'm overwhelmed by how to edit it.
by how to edit it.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just like feeling like a dinosaur and trying to figure out how to do some reels and mash it all together and whatnot.
okay, I'm going to show you guys something really cool.
There's some cool apps that can just do it for you.
Zach, share what those apps are. Well, I find it.
So, I mean, I have CapCut and it is great, but another buddy of mine that's an agent down in Texas, he makes videos and he downloaded the Captions app. So I downloaded it too. And I think like the pro version, or whatever, is like $20 a month. But it's got a teleprompter section in it. So you can just, you know, cut and paste on there. And then if you go to AI edit, I mean, there's a ton of templates. It'll just edit it for you and you just post. All you got to do is talk and it can just edit it for you.
That's through CapCut.
No, it's called Captions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think
Thanks.
it's like $20 a month or something like that. It's fairly cheap.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I've been using that for mine lately just because I don't have the time to make it all fancy schmancy. So I just make a video and click AI edit and it just does all that for me and I just post it.
Okay, so you heard it here first. I've been working on a fun project of, again, how am I constantly adding value to you guys so you can do more business and I can make your life easier where you feel like I have to work with Allison on every single loan or my life is miserable. How can I keep adding value to you guys? This is something I've been working on. We're going to have it ready to send out and release to people, I'm hoping, in the next 2 weeks. I'm just making it a little bit prettier. But in here, we're making a tool where you can come into here and this is your personalized AI underwriting question answer. So if you're laying in bed at 10 o'clock at night and you've got some client blowing you up about crazy things, you can go, hey, do I need to get peeling paint fixed for FHA? And AI, we've fed them every guidebook from conventional loans to FHA loans to VA loans to jumbo. Some things are, of course, more nuanced and we want to be involved in, but something at your fingertips that you have as a resource to actually lean on and trust. This part is what we were talking about, though, that I think is really cool. So any of you can go into here and you're going to be able to just click on whatever stream. So these are all national news streams specific to our industry to make a green screen reel. So U.S. mortgage applications rise in late July, breaking a 4-week slump. So it's going to give you the link to the article, the talking points that you can literally just pop into that transcriptor thing or not whatever, you get what I'm saying, and read them off. The video hook, so the words you could label on your video. and the short form like content outline and literally the image that we would recommend you use. Or if you didn't want to even like tweak it at all and make it your own thing, you could literally just read it right off of here. And then we're also building out this portion of it where you could copy and paste any URL and it'll give you a talking head short form video or a newsletter, who your target audience is, and then you just hit submit and it's going to give you that same thing, but for an article you selected. Would that make anyone's social media easier to use? And then in here as well, we're creating some these are the questions I get the most often. Realtor calling me saying, okay, we're going to do a 2-1 buy down. How much do we need? I'm always happy to chat and go through those numbers, but sometimes you just want something at your fingertips so that you're not waiting for me to call you back, to call your client back. If you're standing there with your client, you can literally just type it in and it's going to calculate it for you. A payment calculator, this is just for loose numbers. Of course, people already have our other portal as well customized, but if you're standing in an open house and someone comes to you with a random question, net proceeds. Who hates calculating net proceeds because they think they're going to type something wrong into one of their Excel spreadsheets or their Excel spreadsheet's corrupted. And now your clients pushed you to do it in 3 minutes. And now you gave them the wrong number. And I don't even know if the information's right. And the whole purchase is contingent on your net proceeds. So we built AI. We built this tool with AI that's going to prompt you the exact questions and then put it into a pretty format so you can copy it into an email and send it to your clients. Same thing on profit potential. So if you're buying a primary, like what could the potential profit be down the road based off of different appreciation values, things like that. Trying to do everything we can to help support you guys the best we possibly can. Do I think it fits everything all the time? No, but just more resources, I think, is what people need these days. So again, we're hoping to have, actually, you know what, guys, you can be my first test cases. As soon as I have this ready, which the only thing that has to change is the front image they put on it. I just don't like it. As soon as we swap it out, I'm going to send it to you guys first for you guys to play around with. After you jump into it and play around with it, please email me back and say, oh my gosh, I love it. Or could you add this or any ideas? We're totally open to it. Myself and an app developer are solo working on it. So the world is our oyster on it. So anything you have as ideas, I'd love to hear them. All right. Opportunity 3 is testimonial content. Gen Z and millennials have had phones and fake info fed to them their entire lives. Does anyone ever order something off of Amazon and see there's like a weird amount of only 5-star reviews and instantly know that they probably paid someone to do all of the 5-star reviews because there's companies that just go do that? A few years ago during COVID, there was a new mortgage broker shop that opened in town. They went out of business already. So this just goes to show that there probably wasn't that many people giving them 5-star reviews. And I remember going, how in the world do they have 1,000 5-star reviews? And they went into business like 6 months ago. And I'm looking at it and one of my clients gave them a 5-star review. So I text the client who's a friend of mine. I go, hey, did you like refi without me? She's like, no, I saw them post a thing on Facebook that they'd give a $5 Starbucks gift card to anyone who left a 5-star review. It's like, cool, I hope you liked your gift card, right? But those are the things that this younger generation can sniff out. They can smell right through it. So collecting testimonials is a really big deal. And also not being so panicked that someone might not give us 5 stars. It's 2025. Everyone is fully aware, thank you to social media and elections and everything else, that people are crazy, right? Like odds are if you've done enough business, there's been one person in your life who's been like 4 stars. He did everything perfect, sold my house for free, and I don't care. I'm giving him 4 stars, right? Like there are just people like that. So not being scared of that, I think, is key. We use a system called experience.com. If you've closed a transaction with us as a realtor, you've probably gotten prompted to do it as well. I was hesitant at first because I thought, oh my gosh, we're asking for so many reviews and it's going to this thing and are people going to be annoyed? And it's wild how many more people leave a review on this than when I reached out and sent them the links because I think they give more honest feedback. And you can see we do not have 5 stars. We have 372 and our average is 4.94 stars. If you go to this, you can see there is a girl named Libby from 4 years ago. She hates me. She gave me 1 star. Again, I did Libby's mortgage for free. I don't know what else I could have done different. She said she doesn't like making her monthly payment to me every month. Like, You don't even make your monthly payment to me, right? Like those are the things we can't control, but it's how do you respond? How do you react? And now anyone who looks at that would know that these reviews are really real. There's about 369 people who gave us 5 stars, and there's 3 people who didn't. And if I didn't have those, people may be like, that's kind of weird, right? So one thing to think of from that as well. Is anyone here using experience.com? Realtors can use it. Anyone can use it. You just literally pop in your transaction information. It's really easy. And then after they do the review, it prompts them to push it to Google, to push it to Facebook, to wherever you select, so that it pushes to all those websites as well for SEO. So that's pretty cool as well. That's a more recent feature they have. But it also will ask everyone on the transaction to give you a review. Most of our agents, if we've closed a transaction with you, buy side or list side, we automatically, after closing, go to your Google business page if you have one and leave you a review, because we know how important it is. But for the people who don't, or the title company you work with, you could just pop their stuff in there and it will help your reviews, because that's what people need to see to trust you, because they're going to start on their fingertips. Most millennials and Gen Z are making a decision if they're going to work with you or not before you even meet them in person. By the time they meet with you in person, they're essentially saying, does everything check out of what I've already researched online? And if it does, they're sold. Because they're researching everything up front. Sarah, it was called experience.com. Because they're researching everything up front, one thing that's really interesting that I've noticed that's kind of blindsided me recently is my millennial clients and my older clients will research online. But then once we get to our Zoom meeting and we've got them fully pre-approved, I'm their expert. They don't go to the news and go to their grandma and go to TikTok and then come back to me, right? Gen Z does not do that. Gen Z found you online and they're going to continue to research online the entire transaction. Some of my Gen Z clients, 24 hours before closing, are asking about crazy mortgage hacks that they saw on TikTok that I don't even think, I'm like, that's literally not even a thing, right? That is really good to keep in mind, because as soon as we're not the forefront and the first person coming to them with information, they start losing trust in us. And it's really hard because there's a boundary of, okay, well, I don't want to give them too much information that confuses them. And I think a lot of us have a bias, myself included. When someone is young, I assume they don't want all this information. They don't need all this information. I'm going to overwhelm them. I'm going to scare them away from home buying. When in fact, it's the opposite. They actually want more information than any other generation, because they're so used to consuming that much information about any given topic all day long. Shareable content format, of course, you guys, make reels that people can easily share. Downloadable guides. In my link on my website, we have downloadable guides. Most of my stuff is targeted for realtors, but also like going in there, and people can click to my YouTube channel and see tons of channels with quick 1-minute educational videos. They can download a guide about home buying. They can reach out to us directly on there. Any of those things that just kind of keeps them in the mix and moving on and staying connected with you. And one of the things I think for the younger generation is addressing the whole picture. Older generations, they had a very clear plan. They were going to maybe go to college or maybe go right to the workforce. They're going to get married, buy their first house at the same time, live in that house most of their child raising years. Maybe very well-to-do families were buying investment properties, things like that. But the average consumer was literally just living in their house, raising their family until they were going to be empty nesters, or until their kids got older, and then it was time to move. These younger generations don't think like that. Everything is an out-of-the-box solution. Everything is, how can I make more money? How can I have a glamorous lifestyle? How can I have a better investment strategy? And so we really need to make sure we're having the right conversations to open up the whole picture for them. I'm going to read this to you guys because it just hit me really hard and I want you to hear it the same way. So it's not in the sentence. It's not in the statement. It's in the space between the words. That's where the decision happens. It's the pause after a powerful question, the silence that follows a surprising insight, the breath they take before they say, maybe you're right. Most people rush to fill that space. They pile on more facts, more benefits, more logic. But influence lives in the pause. The moment you stop talking is the moment they start thinking. And thinking is the first step toward choosing. Here's the truth. People don't change because you said something smart. They changed because you created a moment where they could see things differently. They made the shift. You made the space. If you are brutally honest with yourself and you think through your buyer consult or how you review how someone's going to submit an offer or your listing presentation, are you leaving space and giving enough impact to empower people to lead them to the decision that you believe is best for them? Anybody? I find most people don't. They get panicked, they get nervous, they can feel that this client that they've been showing homes to for a year is getting cold feet, and they start going, well, you know, home prices are going to go up, don't you? Well, yeah, I know interest rates are high, but they're going to drop. You start to fill the space with more and more and more and more facts, and they're not listening to them. Sometimes it's just asking the right questions so that we can start in the right place. So, for example, we fill out this all about you form. Every single client fills in this information ahead of time. Some of the questions are things like, if you've been through this mortgage process before, what was your experience? What are your expectations of me? And what's most important to you as a lender? Some of the other questions that we have on here are, is there anything you're nervous about? Is there anyone else helping you make this financial decision that we should communicate with on our meeting together? People will give you their entire life story on this form because they're not looking at you like this. And then on the meeting, they're like, scared to bring it up. And so I just address them like, hey, I saw you check this on here. You didn't ask about that. Should we talk about it a little bit? Well, yeah, I am really nervous about interest rates. I totally get it. Interest rates feel high right now. Like, this payment feels high. You can see it's higher than your rent payment. I'm curious, is there an interest rate in your mind that you would say, if the interest rate were this, I'm wholeheartedly ready to purchase and feel comfortable with the numbers? I don't know why you guys, when I ask this question, everyone says 6.5%. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So this, if we're at 7.125, the difference between 7.125 and 6.5, I put it in a spreadsheet with them real time. Did I put it in here? No, I didn't. I put it in a spreadsheet with them real time, and I show them the difference in monthly payment. And about a $300K loan, that's a little less than $100 a month. Is that kind of what you expected? Most of them say no. They thought that delta in interest rate was going to be probably $500. But they have to see themselves. They have to make these decisions themselves. We have to leave the space to educate and give them the resources and let them make the decision. This is another one we do a lot. I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin. I was raised that you owned a home because renting is a waste of money. And in theory, owning was better than renting because owning was less expensive. When I went to buy my first house and I realized, wait, my rent is like $400 less than what owning my house is going to be, I was like, well, this is dumb. I have a pool at my rental. I have a dog park. I don't have to pay for utilities. Like, I just was like, why would anyone buy a house? I have to mow the lawn. Like, this is gross, right? Going through these and just explaining the numbers, just to giving them the information, I think is key. So if you guys don't know, with every single pre-approval meeting we do, and we do every pre-approval meeting like this on Zoom, I go through one of these with clients and I show them, oh gosh, I can see you guys are paying $2,600 a month for rent right now, and your mortgage payment for what you're looking at is about $3,700. Yeah, I'm like, does that feel like a big jump? They're like, yeah, it kind of does. I'm like, cool. Let me show you something really interesting now. This is the net gain by buying a home with a 63-year average. So a really, really low expectation for home appreciation. Real estate's meant to be a long-term home. So candidly, if you're going to buy and want to sell in the next 6 months, it's not for you. You'll lose money. After paying for closing costs up front and having to pay your realtor on the way out, you'll lose money. Do you think you'll do that? Well, no, we're going to be in this home for at least 8 years, or we're going to be there for 5 years. We're going to rent it out. Okay, cool. So in 5 years, if you sold this house, you'd walk away with $28,000 that you can put towards your next purchase. If you rent it out in 5 years, Someone else helped you make $122,000 by paying your mortgage that you can put towards your next purchase. Especially with millennial home buyers, I walk through this really, really detailedly and make sure they understand that this money is how someone buys the $1 million home. Here's your down payment on your $1 million home. I'm not giving you this $400,000 home and thinking you want to live in it and raise your children for 20 years, right? Like, this is the stepping stone of how we get you into the perfect dream. But this all goes with having to just meet them where they're at, right? If someone doesn't want to hear it, they don't want to receive the information, they're not ready. It is a slow drip process then. It is giving them little tidbits of what they want to hear, planting the seeds for when they're ready to hear it, and just continuing to work on their level. Opportunity 6, getting like just a seamless experience, the digital narrative, things like that. This is just like a little snippet of what we do. So we have a whole system built out, whether they're pre-approved and they're looking in 0 to 3 months, or pre-approved in 3 to 6 months, 6 months plus, pre-approved, but really they want XYZ to happen before, and it's all highly customized communication. Gen Z millennials do not want your auto drip email with some AI generated email on the top with generic stuff about buying a home, or your 6 tips about picking up your leaves and putting them in pumpkin bags on the porch. They're not going to read your email. And that's all you got, and it's all you can muster up right now. That's awesome, because at least they're seeing your name in their inbox. I'll give you that. But besides that, just know they're not reading your emails. So that's not a real follow-up technique. That is just a marketing technique. If you truly want to stay in flow with these people and be part of their life, you have to be giving more than that. So we have a rotation of call, text, email, all built out based off of their timeline. Yeah, Sarah, way more traction on texting. You guys, if these clients don't want to talk to me on the phone, I'm not going to call them in the middle of the workday. I'm just going to text them. So we rotate, and if someone only texts us, we only text them back. Same thing with post-close. Once someone's closed with us, we do the HomeBot emails, which is like our AI system that they can track their equity and their interest rate, insurance, and opportunities to save money on different things. But otherwise, we've pivoted, and everything that goes out is a money tip. These people need to learn. We're in an economy where people need to save money. They need to learn about money. Did you just have a newborn? I can see Courtney, you're on. If you haven't signed up for the new bank account for a baby born in 2025, where you can get $1,000 free from the government, even if you didn't add another dollar to it, it'd be like $300-some thousand by the time they're an adult, just off of the recurring interest. Those are things our database needs to know, right? Like, that's where we actually add value and continue to show up for people in their lives. And that's another reason we do our Tuesday update emails. If you've never done a transaction with us, every single Tuesday in the process, we send an email customized, specific to their situation, crystal clear on where they're at in the process. These people want visibility. They want seamless communication. If they found me quick on the internet, they want to be able to contact me and engage with me quick on the internet, but still be personalized and still be authentic and all the other things. New ways to communicate. We're all sitting here on Zoom. You guys know, show up on Zoom. People don't want to drive to your office to the same capacity they used to. I do think it's incredibly impactful to do a Zoom with someone before you go show them a house. We do a Zoom with every single client at pre-approval. If I can see them face-to-face and ask the questions, Zach's the only one I'm seeing face-to-face right now, but if I can see him face-to-face, like, we have a completely different connection than anyone who's on here right now who didn't put their camera on, right? You just do. You can see them face-to-face. You've already started building trust with them. It's really impactful. Community involvement. They want to see what you're donating to, what you're engaging in, things like this. This is an example of one of my green screen reels. I meant this to be earlier in the presentation, but you can see, this is what I did. Minnesota agents are winning. The other week we had over 5,000 views on it, but you can see people are sending it to each other. People are saving it. That's what I want to see. Someone save this. One, maybe it's a loan officer who's just going to copy me. That I'm not dumb. That happens too, right? Or is it a client who saved this and thought it was interesting and wants to go back to it later? People are saving, DMing each other. Who DMs their spouse things from Instagram constantly? Anytime I have a recipe, I don't know why I DM it to my husband like he's going to make it for me. He's never going to make me a recipe. How do I find the analytics on Reels, Zach? Or
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I guess I don't.
Do you have
Never
is your account set to professional?
I don't think so.
So you have to have your account set to professional, and then you can
Okay.
get all these analytics on what's happening with your accounts.
Is that pretty easy to do? Is it just a flip
Yeah,
of a
it's
switch?
literally
Or?
just a click of a button.
Okay.
But when you switch it to business, it's going to ask you what kind of business you are. You don't want to say you're a real estate agent. You want to say you're like a content creator, because then you have more access to music choices and things like that. For whatever reason, if you say you're in real estate, like you can't use popular songs. I have no idea why.
I just changed it to creator, actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
cool.
it
that
was
works.
really simple. Yeah. And I feel like I have the same thing. It says that you can have a bigger reach on Instagram for creator.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be the magic ticket. What's most interesting to me about this, guys, is do you remember when millennials? I remember because I'm a millennial, and like everyone hated millennials. We bad talked millennials. Now millennials are old and apparently the most cringe generation. I learned that last week. When these giant populations enter the adult force, whose parents use Uber and use DoorDash? Mine do. Like that's now everyone's new expectation. When one generation comes in and infiltrates the rest of everyone and teaches them about how much easier life can be at their fingertips, now that's everyone's expectation. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't really have any 23-year-old clients, it doesn't really matter. This is everyone's client now. I sit on Zooms with my clients who are 60 years old and they're selling their house that they raised their kids in and buying a condo downtown. They have Zoom. They know how it works. They've been using it at jobs and in the workforce for a long time at this point. So even if this isn't your target demographic, I still think it's really, really important that we're making waves towards that. Last thing I wanted to ask, how often are you guys using AI to write things, to type things?
Every day.
Okay, so one thing, and have you guys taught it how to use your personality? So one thing with AI is it is wildly easy for it to learn your personality. I did not realize this until too long. And I have so many YouTube videos. You can literally go to your YouTube videos and you can get a transcript, or if you don't have YouTube videos, take a Zoom recording of you a couple of times talking to a client. Just record your next 5 Zoom meetings and upload them to YouTube, make them private, copy all the captions into ChatGPT, your Microsoft Copilot, or whatever you're using, Grok, I don't care. And then just say, please learn my personality and describe it to me. And all communication you give me moving forward, put in my personality. So with that, my whole team, everyone who creates for me, has a one pager that they can copy and paste into whatever they're using and say, because even if you have an assistant or something, I don't want them to talk. I want them to explain it how I would explain it. So the client feels like they're getting the same experience, right? So everyone on my team knows if someone is frustrated about something or asking a question, they type their email version into ChatGPT of what they're going to respond, but then they say, but make it sound like Allison. And now it's more storytelling. It's direct but playful. It's sophisticated professional. Those are like my words it uses when it describes me. So if you guys haven't done that, it literally, I saw someone do it at a conference and I sat for 10 minutes after they spoke and I just quick did it. And it was just game changer to have other people be able, or sometimes you just don't have the brain power. Someone emails you like, hey, I'm talking to 3 realtors, and I'm actually thinking I'm going to list with someone else. Can you tell me like why you don't suck at your job? And you're like, wait, I've known you for 30 years and you're going to list your house with someone else. You get heated in your head. You can't respond clearly, right? And so having technology like that to lean on in those situations is amazing. And if it knows your personality, it doesn't sound like it's ChatGPT. Sometimes even when I type into it, I'll say, sound less like ChatGPT. I'm like, perfect, great. That, right? Because people can also sense if it just sounds like ChatGPT. Was this helpful? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Thank
I have
you guys
one more.
for-
I have one more tip that I just
Yeah,
recently learned,
please, Sarah.
Allison. The long dashes that Chat GPT does instead of like commas or ellipses or anything like that, that is like a telltale sign of that it was Chat GPT. And apparently Gen Zers can smell that a mile away. I recently learned. So I always say, take out the long dashes.
Interesting. There was just something, I was sending an email and I had an emoji in the subject line, and Ellie on my team, she's like on consuming TikTok constantly, called me. She does nothing. She doesn't do anything with our newsletter. She just saw the test case come through my inbox and she calls me. She's, you can't send that email. It's so cringe. You can't put emojis in the subject line. I'm like, why? She's like, everyone's making fun of it on TikTok. I'm like, oh,
Ah,
I got the emoji.
no, that's all I use. Okay, good to know.
That and apparently like one word test lines are performing really well versus the sentences because you as people are just like we are, we're bombarded with information in our email. So if it's longer than a word or two, they're not even reading it now. The other thing that we've done that's immensely helped our open rates, if you received an email to invite you here today, you would have noticed it probably said 2-minute read on top or 3-minute read. As soon as we added that, our open rate went up. Like, I don't even remember by how much, but a lot. Thank you guys for hopping on. As promised, as soon as I get that set up and ready, which is hopefully in the next like week to 2 weeks, I'm going to send it out to this group first. I mean it. We only improve with feedback. I want to hear, is it useful? Is it helpful? Is it glitchy? Tell me all the things. If we have not met in person, I would love to hop on a Zoom and learn more about your business or how I can help support you in any way. I do a lot of things like this and I am posting on social media and stuff a lot, but 90% of my day is face-to-face with clients doing Zoom pre-approvals. In fact, I have to make sure we wrap up in the next 2 minutes because I am back-to-back on 30-minute Zooms all day until 5 o'clock today with clients, because that is our number one focus is how do we dig in and how do we actually help these clients confidently into home ownership? I don't know if you realize this, but the average age of the first-time home buyer is 38 right now. That means they paid someone else's mortgage for 20 years of their adult life before they invest in themselves, which is crazy. So we are on a mission to fix that. And I hope you guys will help me with it. Thank you again for hopping on today. And I hope you have a great day. Bye, guys.